What's up everybody, Ian here with the Seek First Adventure, and today we're continuing the work on our Airstream renovation. I'm going to be finishing up replacing the outriggers on the frame. If you don't know what the outrigger is, it's basically these metal pieces that come out off of the frame, and this is what supports the whole shell, the whole top part of the trailer, all of the aluminum, and so they're kind of important. There's quite a few of them actually on the Airstream, and they're in a place where as the belly pan wraps around it, a lot of times the underside of them get rusted and start to just deteriorate. Part of why there's an issue a lot of times at that connection point is because the plywood will absorb water and then it'll just be sitting there on the outrigger causing rust and stuff. There was even some of mine where they had cracked and they had split at that connection point, which is probably from just the going down the road and things shifting. Just that torsion on it probably cracked it. So initially I was thinking I was going to have to replace about 4. Ended up, once I got the shell up, realizing I need to replace about 9. And so we're going to walk through just how to go about that, what I'm doing. And this is one of those things where I think you could technically replace these without lifting the shell off, but it's going to be so much harder, and there's always a risk whenever you're doing that, and you just also don't really know the full extent of, you know, which ones need to be replaced until you get the shell off. So, you know, if you're going that far in, you might as well just do the full shell lift. So we're going to get rolling. So the first step is going to be to cut off the old outrigger. I'm just using a cut-off wheel, and I already got this spot cut off, and this part right here is actually a piece of just bar steel that is where the belly pan attaches to. The original one was all rusted and falling off, so I just have replaced that already through most of the length there. So I just had this one last section to do, and I still have, it looks like, what, I think 6 outriggers to weld on. So I got mine from Out of Doors Mart, and they have a good selection and a good stock there. These are just the solid ones. I was a little confused because it said that these were for the wide bodies, and then the ones that I got for the narrow bodies had like a notch in them. And this is a narrow body since it's the 8-foot wide, and it's like pre-95 or whatever it is. And whenever I got these, they're actually the same width as everything else, so I don't really know what the differentiation there is. I don't like the notch because I'm going to just have to weld a piece of metal in there. So I would recommend getting these ones, which are just it says the wide body, but I don't really know why. It's the same, you know, width as the other ones. There's no real difference. So there's some parts of the frames where it has essentially like an additional piece welded on. It's mainly in the wheel wells where the axle's attached. There's this plate that goes onto the main beam of the frame that adds additional support and structure, as well as it's where the axle actually attaches. So that is a difference of about a 1/4 inch, and so I'm going to essentially just notch this in right there and cut that out so it fits smoothly onto that, so you don't have that gap right there. So I just need to measure how far down it goes, which is about 1 3/16. All right, I'm gonna cut this, and then it should be sized to fit in there. Now that should just fit perfectly in that little notch right there. Not too bad. So that's one thing about metal fabrication. The better the fit you can get, the more secure the welds are going to be, and the stronger overall the whole structure will be. So that's one thing I really try to do, is make sure stuff fits really well. So now that we have that cut and fit, the original outrigger was right here. I'm actually going to come in about half an inch to an inch. If you saw my video where I revealed the wheels and tires that we're using a little bit larger setup, and so I'm going to move these in just a tiny bit just to give myself a little bit more space. It's not going to affect anything structurally, and I'm going to be building custom wheel wells and all that, so none of that's really going to be affected. You know, again, this is pretty custom setup on the wheels and tires and everything, so being able to accommodate it now, there's a possibility that if you were to do that with the outriggers where they were, you may have to actually notch them a little bit and do something custom on the belly pan. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to set them back, like I said, about a half an inch, and that'll leave plenty of room for those bigger wheels and tires. Alright, now it's time to weld it on. So, a couple of things that I use that kind of help things out are one of these 90-degree magnets. You can get it at any welding supply. I think like Home Depot has them. I want to say I got these from Eastwood.com, and they have awesome stuff. I wish I had one of their welders, but fortunately I'm using a Harbor Freight one. Once we get settled, I'll get a nice welder, or two or three. So, just gonna get the thing positioned, and like I said, I'm coming in about an inch roughly from its original position, and I'm using just the level on my phone, and I want it to be about even to where the other outriggers are. Since it's on a slope and I didn't level the frame and everything's about -2 degrees downhill, and so I am just positioning the outriggers that way. I'm wanting it to be flush with the frame here, so that when you go to put the subfloor in, everything will be nice and flush. So I got it all just about positioned properly. So, going to tack it in place. So we got it tacked, and from here I'm going to add additional tacks up this to where it all stays in place, and I'm going to run a bead on the inside, and then I'm going to probably try to move this piece in just a little bit towards a little bit more flush, and then finish welding everything up. So now we got the outrigger on there, and it's all welded up. So the last thing you got to do is just paint it, and we got a whole other video on the paint that we're using for our frame, so check that out. If you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'd love to help anybody out. Big part of why I'm doing these videos, and love for you to subscribe. We're also on Instagram, and we have a website that has some more stuff, and we're going to be working on adding a lot more onto our website, a lot more stuff, a lot more photos. So go check those all out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.